We don't have like your college that are really always really envious about. We don't have sport. We've got 2 hours of sports per
Oh.
week in general. So you can just do many different sports, but for in 2 hours a week, what you can learn, no, or how you can practice. So all our sport life is in the afternoon, and the family have to bring you there. So this is a big deal because compared to other country where sport is one of the main
Like camp.
moments,
Yeah.
yes, it's normal for you. You don't know that in our culture, unluckily, sport is it's inexistent at school.
I think the minute I stepped on a practice field for rugby, the calling happened.
An 8-year plan to be on the team, and I was in it within 2 years.
Don't wait until you are a pro to be a pro, right?
Like, I like doing something and stopping and learning from it.
Like, it just looked like it was a heavy hit.
To give up, it's not up.
You know, that's the first time I played like professionally.
I'm making rugby money. How can I make money outside of it?
And there was two Scottish guys, and they said, "Oh, you're here for the movie."
Rugby is a sport where that's often coupled with actually having a good time.
He looked at me and he says, "You guys are awesome."
Grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby, grow rugby.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Grow Rugby. My name is GiftTime Belu, and this is the show where we speak to people about the opportunities that they have found, created, or taken advantage of via rugby. Now, guys, we got an amazing guest. This one was such a fun one. We're taking it overseas to Italy. We're speaking with Erika Morri, former board member on the Italian Rugby Federation Union. Actually, it was funny because at the time that we recorded, she had just had lost an election to renew her time there. But that being said, she was still an integral part of the last couple years of it. On top of that, she is also one of the first Women's Rugby World Cup attendees, having played for the Women's Rugby World, having played for Italian Women's Rugby over the course of 30 plus years, having attended multiple Rugby World Cups, and is very, very much passionate about this sport of rugby. And it was such a great thing to be able to understand and learn more about Italian culture and the way that they go about rugby, and the things that she has in sight in terms of changing opportunity and recreating how they develop youth rugby. Because despite what we think, you know, even though it's in Europe and Italy has a rugby culture that has been present for a long time, it's still one that is still in its series of development, still trying to find its evolution, and of course is competing with the foe association football, aka soccer. But no, this was really a really good conversation. I genuinely enjoyed talking with Erika, and I was really happy to be able to get the chance to do it. Guys, I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed some wild Major League Rugby, because apparently they wanted to go out of their way to actually start proving that they're not just following who is on paper the best and proving it. Like, underdogs started winning. Sabercats won. Freaking Seattle Seawolves won. Like, are you serious? Like, you guys have been losing all this time, started getting used to the trend. Then, of course, come week 4, you want to go and do things the right way and win it. Like, why are you messing with my predictions? You're messing with my predictions. I don't know why you're doing this to me. No. But it was a great weekend of rugby. You had women's Six Nations going on. Obviously, the aforementioned MLR. There's plenty of rugby happening around the country. Lindenwood out here playing and life, and Sabercat, Houston ATX. Doing their thing. It was a wild game of rugby out here in the States and around the world. It's nice to see rugby coming back. Obviously, COVID is maybe subsiding is the wrong word, but at least it seems to be getting in control in some places. These vaccines are rising, and I guess the other half of it is people just don't want to stay inside anymore. So, it's going to be an interesting process of how this is continuing to go, and just how we continue to do things. So, but needless to say, I hope you guys were able to take care of yourself. I hope you guys just, for me, the weekend is always one moment of chill. The next moment is setting up for the next thing. So we'll go from there. Guys, I want to thank everybody who continues to listen to the podcast, man. Look, we are up to, this doesn't sound like a lot, but I am grateful. All right. I am absolutely grateful. 120 downloads a month is something big, especially coming from scratch, especially considering that we've been at this podcast for a year now and just slowly developing, slowly getting more and more people, getting different guests coming through, getting a wider range of people that typically would not either get talked to or, we stick within a certain aspect of it where it's just what we're doing on the field. And as much as I like to get on-field stuff, I always want the off-field items. So I love hearing these stories, and I'm so glad that you guys are also getting the chance to listen and enjoy it and take information along with it. And if you guys, please, if you guys feel like there's good value that comes out from it, from wherever you are, because this is coming, I'm getting listeners from around the world. Shout out to you, Germany, for your listens. Didn't expect that one, but I am here for it. Obviously, U.S., thank you. South Africa, thank you. And there's actually a bunch of other countries. I don't want to go through the whole list. But thank you to all of you guys. But please, if you guys feel like there's something there that's of value to be able to listen to it, please share it with your friends. Get them to subscribe. Find them that one episode that connected you in, that said, hey, man, let me go ahead and listen to this all the way through. And then you did it from there. So go ahead and you can do that. And if you guys also could, in the meantime, could you guys put a review, stars, written on the Apple Podcast or Spotify for the review section? It helps us. It helps generate more looks. We got one written review, and we got 5 starred reviews. I'm actually okay with that. We're out here growing. We're developing bit by bit. So if you guys can, and then of course, if you guys are checking out the video feed of this, please subscribe to the YouTube page at youtube.com/GiftTime Rugby Network. That's GiftTime Rugby Network with 2 T's, GIFTTIME Rugby Network. And please subscribe to the page as we continue to develop it and continue to grow. There's a bunch of content from old games to skits, news reports. It's kind of a nice little nostalgia bit in some ways as we continue to develop and promote more content more and more. So in the meantime, I hope you guys are ready for this. The great Erika Morri, Italian Women's Rugby World Cup participant, team member, all right, and of course former board member for the Italian Rugby Federation.
Groux Rugby, Groux Rugby, Groux Rugby, Groux Rugby, Groux Rugby, Groux Rugby, Groux Rugby.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Groux Rugby. My name is GiftTime Ibelu, and we have an incredibly very important person P. I always mess it up a little bit, but just know we got an amazing person with us today, a former Rugby World Cup player, 2-time Rugby World Cup player, a board member for the Italian Federal Rugby Union, and a World Rugby spotlit person to watch. Erika Morri out of Italy. Erika, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much. I've never been presented like this. I feel like a star of Hollywood, but in reality, I'm just coming from the mud, the Italian mud. But so,
look, you know what they say.
It's me.
Look, you know what they say in this day and age, you know, everybody is a star. You just got to wait for the shine to happen. So I want to make sure that your shine is as bright as it needs to be. So we're going to, even if you're going to be humble, I'm not going to be humble for you. I'm going to let you get it.
Okay, so I feel all the light on me and I feel really comfortable.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, look, you know, I always love, you know, telling people how I first found out. And it was really interesting because whenever it was presented to me to be able to talk to you, you know, for me, I've always tried to learn what's going on outside within the rugby community. I think it's one of the most interesting places to learn about rugby aside from what you do on the field. So when I had a chance to look through your resume, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this woman has been, she's got the resume. She's been in this, you know, and seeing exactly what your mission was, it got me even more excited to be able to talk to you and seeing what you're trying to do with women's rugby in Italy. So, you know, I told you before, but again, I'll say it. I'm really honored to be able to have a chance to talk to you because you really are making moves in this global rugby community in more ways than one.
Grazie. So let's begin to come from foreigner country. I think that the most important thing is exchange, experience, because our worlds are so different and things are done so differently that perhaps just having an information about how on the other side of the world works, this could be really interesting because we can just turn on a spark to begin a new thinking, a new idea to put on the field. And so the most rich thing that I can just that I have is just making exchange with other rugby players or women, men or women, because for me rugby players that does not have gender. Right. Because for me this is really important, because when they say, so you are feminist, I'm not a feminist, I'm a contemporary lady.
I like that. I like that. The contemporary, hear about the equitability, and it's not just about the trying to do it. And I feel like those, and I love that you are very technical about that, because I think in the language, whenever people speak on these things, it gets lost and people get lost into the political element of it when it's just like, no, we're just talking about a common sense positioning.
Sure. Because if we just say, let's go only women, we will do the same mistake. Exactly. So until we have to speak about humanity, not gender. This is my point of view. And for this, I really work for, because I always work also for the fact of the right of being different. So this is in the pitch, out of the pitch, this is my idea. And I really work in rugby for Italy, and being a female rugby player, when I began, it was really a challenge, because no one thinks that a woman can play rugby. I'm speaking about 30 years ago. I'm not speaking about nowadays. Nowadays, luckily, it's better. It's a lot better than once. But obviously, being pioneers in every sector, you begin at things. You've got challenge, but this makes things fantastic.
I agree with that, and I want to even begin. I want to speak on that and go to it from the beginning, because I always say with every superhero there's an origin story. So for you, Erika, I want to know, how'd you get started with rugby, and obviously get to where it led you to here today?
My father played, but it was not him to take me to the pitch, but I was a girl guide, and one of my friends of the girl guide, she said, I began to play rugby. I said, no, really, because I always been to the pitch, because my father before played and then trained. So I always think to have 15, 20 uncle. The reality was the teammate of my father and the players of my father. But when you are young, when you are a kid, you don't make this kind of difference. Yes, it's all family. So I always thought to have a big family, all men. I didn't understand these things, but anyway. So for me, it was a fantastic word. In that period, I was throwing javelin. So I was really high level, an athletic athlete, and that was my luck. because when I began to play, I was really, really fit for the period, because I train already 4 or 5 times a week. And in that period, rugby was at the beginning, they trained twice a week. So I made my training with the athletics, and then in the evening, the training with the rugby. So my performance was already high, but not just because I come from another sport, and I was I was the 5th in Italy of the javelin thrower. And so that was the why I began with a gear more. And the second things, and that I've got the sense of tackle. I was a natural tackler, and so
you're already used to throwing. You already have the upper body strength just because the
yes, but also the attitude. For me, tackling was the most fantastic, enjoying thing that I could do. So they just told me, go wing as usual. Go to the wing. You see the other one who doesn't have the same color of a shirt, you don't have to make them pass. That was the technical instruction that I had. And so I was super fast, super fit, and a tackler.
Nice.
For the rest, step by step.
You know, I love that, because it even reminds me whenever I started playing, because for me, it was coming out of American football, and I had tried to play in college and didn't. So when I graduated from college and found rugby, they put me at flanker, and they were just like, because they were just like, look, you don't have to touch the ball, just go and make sure you don't attack that other guy. Make sure you see that guy in the 10, just get to him. I was like, all right, we can go, because
that's all. Okay.
Yeah, sure, oh, and I love that. It does stand to fact, though. Obviously, you know, you had already rugby inside your blood. Even if you weren't playing, it was already flowing through it because of your father and your uncles.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I love that. So, you know, whenever you got started, and obviously, like you said, you were already doing things at an athletic level, but when you first got on that pitch, what was that feeling? Do you remember, like, that feeling of, like, okay, now, because it's one thing to do field work, track and field, you know, you understand being a crowd in 5th in Italy already, you understand the crowd, but when you're about to go start running and you're going to be on there for the next 80 minutes, you're just like, okay, all right, am I really ready for this? Am I really ready? Like, what was that feeling for you going in at first?
I don't know if it was my fullness of base. I never were so worried in reality. I just say, I will do my best. And what's more? And the thing that, if I have to tell you one remember that I had, was a thing that I really love. It was the noise of the, you know, I don't know in English, under the shoes.
Oh, whenever it's like crunching on the grass itself?
Not on the grass, because we didn't have grass.
Oh,
that was our dream, to have grass. But I know that's the reality. The grass also today for the women's sector is just a dream. And no, the before the pitch, went from the locker rooms,
the sidewalk. Oh, like whenever
yes,
you're on the
sidewalk
itself, yeah.
And I've got this fantastic you know, that you've got in your ears, and it was like the noise of the thunder before the storm, no? So it was something that prepares you, because it was not only your noise, it was the noise of 30 people that clack, 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 was entering, and that was the moment.
No, I can feel that. I'm already feeling the intensity just even hearing you talk about it. I'm like, I'm ready to go back out and play again. Like, I need to get back out.
Yes, I really would like to come back to play, for sure. Because are these the thing that you will remember? Are the stupid jokes in the clocking rooms? Are the funny thing that when you get to the pitch and you are angry about your work, about the things that happened during the day, and you just put your bag and sit on blah, 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 and someone of your teammates says stupid things, and you look at her and say, why I have to be angry? Now it's time to play, and when you come out from the pitch, you are another person again.
Exactly.
These are the things that you remember.
It's a baptism through play.
Yes, Yes.
No,
And
I
so,
like
for this and the fact that I play in many teams because you know Dinosaur?
Mm-mm.
The Dinosaur?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
We get the Dinosaur extinguished, right?
Right.
My team extinguished because we were on a university team,
Okay.
and so the girls, when finished to do the university, to attend the university, come back home.
Mm-hmm.
So my generation, we were really focused and convinced, and whatever women just or female passed from the distance of our arms, we were blocking. No, come to play, come to. But the generation after mine was not so. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
And so little by little, my team always get less people. So I was already playing for the national team, so I wanted to continue, and I have to move to Padova, and I played 4 years there, 2 years in another town that is close to Treviso, and then I went to Piacenza. And so I played with many different area girls, and Italy, you know, it's really long.
Right.
And so we are really different a bit from the area you are living into.
Yo, I want to talk to you guys about the HBCU Rugby Classic and Music Festival. Yo, this is the best event that is coming out in terms of cultural rugby. It is a representative of the historically black colleges and universities, but not just simply to represent for them, but to be able to continue to promote the development of rugby in all communities. And we want you guys to know that we are coming back for May 1st and 2nd, 2021. Do not want to miss this one. I know there's a chance that you guys might not be able to come into the stadium, but please be sure to get ready to watch it. We have a great set of teams coming up, great invitations from youth rugby all the way up to senior level rugby. So we are not just going to make it so that you only look for or understand one part, but this is for the whole shebang. This is something that is growing that will only make us better. So definitely check out more information at www.hbcurugbyclassic.com or find us on social media at HBCU Rugby on Twitter and HBCU Rugby Classic on Facebook and Instagram. Guys, I know you're gonna love this. So that's actually really interesting. So it's one thing I always wanted to understand, and even you're kind of giving me a perspective. But what was the women's play like for Italy? Because obviously Italy has a much longer successful history with rugby than here in the U.S. But with women's, it seems that there's always a little bit of an offset. But it sounds like you guys had a lot of teams at the point whenever you were playing. Was it a lot of teams, or was it just happened to be you guys would find there was few teams but many pockets, like a few teams in small areas, and you just were finding these pockets of one or two teams per area? Like, how did it work?
In reality, in United States, you got more team than us. That's for sure. That's for sure. And I have to remember you that the first World Cup, the United States women won.
True story. Very true story.
And I've seen that match, and I remember the hooker. The hooker was fantastic. She was running in the point that the referee signed, and she was already with the arms
in the air,
raised, waiting for the two prop, and she was already running and putting like this. And we were looking at her. We never look at this attitude. That it's a mental attitude. She was ready and getting to the place, and that was really astonishing for everybody. The United States beat England.
Right.
You know.
I mean, that's you're talking about the homemaker, the team that's supposed to be the king, queen, whatever, the top of the game, and is beat by a country that I guess for all intents and purposes you didn't expect to even be in the game.
Absolutely. We didn't even know that United States play rugby. That because we were ignorant. I'm so sorry for our ignorance. But we are speaking in 1991.
Right.
It was the first time that women meet internationally all together.
Right.
So there were Russian the Russian teams was a really surprise too. But you are more used to know about New Zealand, England, but United States never heard about it. But in that period, internet was not so strong, so we didn't have all this information and all this exchange. So we know obviously about England, Wales, France, and so the European side.
Exactly.
But not a lot of information. For example, Australia teams doesn't exist. Argentinian doesn't exist. South African doesn't exist. So all the male rugby map was completely different.
Right.
For example, Spain, the women team of Spain, it was super strong, and the men are not at all.
Interesting.
So already different weight and balance in the geography of rugby.
Right.
So for this, was a really shocking thing that you won the World Cup. But we were happy. We were happy because the fantastic things in sport, and that you never know what is going to happen.
Right. And it also goes back to the factor of being able to see what happens whenever you have different styles start to come together from different places. Because I have to imagine, especially if you're used to just being within the same cycle of Europe and then the occasional New Zealand, from here and there, you're used to seeing the same rugby over and over again. But now, whenever the Rugby World Cup for women occurred, now you're getting just these different aspects of it. Same foundation, but different aspects of the game.
Yes, but the matter is, in that time, we were not so evolved. So now you can see a characteristic of the nation, has a style of playing, style of playing. Once you see really the attitude, and you see the skills.
Right.
Because obviously we were speaking really of a period where just finding other team to play, it was a miracle.
Right.
Because in Italy, in that time, we were 12 teams in all Italy. And so we had to travel perhaps 600 kilometers to play. So it was really, really at the beginning of everything. And so obviously, yes, you can take once we took a train to get to a town that was more or less 250 kilometers far from us, but it's not your distance, it's our distance. You are used to big distance, we are not. So we took the train wasn't late, and we just missed the train after. So we had to just not to pay the fine, we took a taxi, and we arrived in taxi. We made 100 kilometers, arriving in 6 taxis to the pit, and everybody said, "Wow, why they are so rich that they came in taxi?" No, we use the train. We don't have another way. And so things like this. It was in the mountain, so we could not take another solution. So it was just a fantastic thing that seems a really prehistorical period, but it was like this.
But it also goes back to the rawness of it. Like sometimes it's the beauty in how simple it was, and I have to imagine even in that there was such a level of enjoyment, because everything. What did they say? Like you bond through the trauma. So like because of all the struggle, it adds so much more to what you do on the pitch, adds so much more to how you connected with your teammates at the time, and go from there.
I told you if you want I can sing, because we have, I don't know how many, 15, 20 songs in my team, because we have to make so many kilometers. I played really badly guitar. I took my guitar and we just made up song, you just change the text. And so you have the song of the scrum, the song of the number 9, the scrum that speak with the fullbacks that answer back. This is all singing, but because we had a lot of time to pass together to get to the other team.
Right.
So it was a fantastic way of spending time together, having song, and these are the things, that is said is not the place where you have to arrive, and is how you arrive to the place. Really often,
Exactly.
the thing that you remember.
I love it. So, so in this point, all right, and I'm a little interested, and I want to kind of get to a little bit more on how you got to the Rugby World Cup and what that experience was, and then we'll move forward from there. But going from a javelin thrower to your first game, now you're in a rugby. Like, what was that process like for you?
But I don't remember nothing of traumatic.
Yeah.
It was in reality, in the athletics sport, there are many different sectors. There are the runner, the jumpers, the throwers. Always have been a group, unless in my town. So we were really used to train all together. We were a sort of team, but I threw javelin, the other one the disc, and we were already a group. And I was already used to work all together. It's not the same thing of having a team that focused on a match and just connecting one to each other. It's a school.
Right.
It's like a school. And the fact also, it's a thing that I always say, that in this school, the first thing that you learn is you can like or dislike a person, but you could not recognize that there is a 10% of positivity in everybody.
Right.
So you have to admit it. So no, because you say, I don't like her, I don't like him. When you're a teammate, you recognize that there is something good in everybody.
Exactly.
And this is a big, great lessons for life. Because also when you're in an office and you don't like your colleague, you have to find what is good in and what is useful for you, for your work life. You always have to find something good, otherwise it's worse for you.
Right. And I love that philosophy, and I'm assuming this is something that you took with you as you started moving into your next moves. So you had a great career playing rugby. You obviously, like I said, we had 2 Rugby World Cups in there. When you decided to come to your conclusion with rugby, all right, or started to slow down, let me use the term properly, started to slow down with the play.
Yes, because I didn't stop playing rugby. It's because I was that Formula One.
Yes.
There is one racetrack that is called Imola. That was the Formula One Italian racetrack.
Right.
And I was the marketing manager. And so really often the matches were combined with the day of the Formula One, of the Superbike, or different international or also national competition. So I train, and that Sunday I could not go. So it was, I was already 34, so I was not a young.
But you're already look. As a person who is just about to turn 35, I no longer have the same feeling that 34 is not young. I feel like until you get to like 85 or so, you got.
Okay, you are right. I'm going for the 50. I'm 50 in some days, but I don't feel old. I don't feel old at all. But I just wanted to say that I was already at 34 in the staying at the high level. You have to train a lot, because I stopped when I was 40. And I really remember that once you were, after the match, you were almost in good shape on Tuesday, Wednesday. I was destroyed. When I was 40, I was destroyed until Friday. And then Friday say, okay, now I'm ready to train again. And that was also the motivation, because I stopped athletics, because for the first 2 years I've made both. Right. But my performance in athletic was really conditioned by the efforts of the Sunday and all the hits and all the muscles. It's normal, because our sport is tough. Right. It's wonderful, but it's tough. We have to deal with it and respect. In my case, respect my trainers of the athletic side, that she pretend to me to perform. How can I say, yes, I'm doing it, but my level, my result was lower than
what would be the standard for it?
Yeah.
No, and you do have to, and that makes sense. I was going to ask, you know, that decision on being and on having to eventually step aside for a little bit from it, because you do have expectations that you want for yourself when it comes to
Sure.
it. So for you, as in doing so, you start pushing towards leadership. What made you decide to now start pushing towards positions of leadership?
I think that you don't have the perception at the beginning. You just expose your idea and the other agree or disagree. But I'm quite a disruptive person, so I'm quite used that people say, no, Erika, no. But I'm really committed in the thing that I do. So I always try to, you know, the lateral thinking. I'm a lateral thinker.
Right.
Always been like this. So for me, playing rugby when no one just was agreed to the fact of playing rugby, what's new? Right. I mean, I think that a rugby player, women rugby player of my time were really proud of getting against what was the common sense.
Right.
Because it means not being free. Because it's a question of freedom. It's not a question of wanting to be different. It's just the fact that you want to express yourself as you are. No best, no better, no worse, just you.
I agree. No, and it was one thing that I found whenever I've watched, and it's one of the reasons why I'm a big believer that rugby impacts culture in a way differently than anywhere else, because of the fact that, especially with women, is that you have this ability to change the mindset whenever it comes to contact. And there's something about knowing that you can hit somebody that gives a different level of confidence. I saw it in Cambodia and with the Kampuchea Balat organization, and with the Cambodian girls, you can literally see the confidence that's developed from being able to know that they can tackle or do anything to that effect, allows them to also feel like there's more that they can do than what would be expected for them, or being a housewife, or, you know, doing just a cooking or something that's it's limited to what the culture is expecting. And now whenever you do that, and if you're able to expand the mind just from play, it changes everything that you have moving up. So for you, you know, like you said, you guys in that time were disruptors, you know, and continuing so, because so many of y'all are in leadership now. So it goes to stand now, as you're looking at it from that position and you're seeing rugby as a whole, like, what was one of the things, and there's numerous ones, but what was one of the motivations for you, and looking at how rugby was and where you wanted it to go? What was one of the key issues that you found in rugby that you were like, I am a person who needs to be a part of this to make sure that we can change this issue from where it is?
You are speaking nowadays, the fact that I'm part of the Italian board.
Exactly, but you know, in kind of that process, because I'm assuming it wasn't just I played and then I want to be a part of the Italian board. It was like, yeah,
sure,
you know.
Sure. The matter was that when I stopped playing, it was asked to me to become part of the, because we are structured as we've got a regional board and then the national board, and I was asked to be part of the regional board. So I stopped at 40, but at 40 I was elected because it's an election. So all the club of the area elect people. So you could not say I want to do it. Yes, you can say I want to do it, but someone have to believe that you are the right person to do it. Okay. Right. So in that moment, my president of the region, he was absolutely against women rugby. So I said, so if I want that female rugby develop in my region, I have to be in we call button room, you know, when you push a button.
Yep.
I don't know if it works because perhaps it's the power room. I don't know how you say it.
We call it coming to the really is the boardroom, to the table room. You got to come to the table. basically.
Okay.
Same concept. Just whatever the power location is, I need a seat at that. I need to have a chance to be able to
exactly. And so when they proposed to me, I said, and no women ever was in that position. So I said, why not? So the thing that we have also to understand that being a rugby player doesn't mean being working. That was never been my work.
Right.
I've done my path, university, degree, masters, and so I was used in my work, normal life, and as like everybody. I was not an athlete, a professionist. So perhaps a professionist doesn't have a clear vision of what means managing.
Right.
It was my work managing. So for me, it was just putting at the service my experience in rugby after my work.
Right. It's essentially your give back to the community, but you're not going to be all in for just this. It's
yes. You say I'm a truck driver. I can drive the bus for the kids. I'm a chef. I work for the third time cooking for the kids at the end of the match. I was a manager. I was putting my gift, my professionality in reality. No. And so I always say that being a member of the board, it's a chain. There are rings, exactly. Right. It's called rings. I'm the rings after the one who cook every Sunday for all the kids, because everybody's got his role.
Right.
And we could not exist if everybody doesn't do his own part.
Right.
So who I'm managing if there is no one who take cares about the club? So I always been part of clubs, obviously, and my favorite sector was kids, because kids in general, not female or male, just because for us, I don't live in a town where rugby is famous.
Right.
At all, not at all. So we are a really lively town with many different sports. But soccer is the Italian sport, so everybody plays soccer. And in my town, basketball. It's called Basketball City. So rugby
is that third.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
Hey guys, I just want to take a quick moment to talk to you about the Rugby Outlet Mall. Now, I know you guys have heard me talk about this many times in the show before, typically in the intro, but I wanted to really make sure to get your focus on it, because the Rugby Outlet Mall is not just the commerce hub for GiftTime Rugby, but it is an area where we want to be able to create the movement and the symbolic elements that add to the movement. The Rugby Outlet Mall is here so that we can have something that not just to have for the field, but more importantly to be able to have as a regular lifestyle. Because as you know, rugby is not just a sport. It's a whole way of life. It is a movement. And we have everything moving from cultural to your pop culture items like our Rugby Zon shirts and sweaters, as well as representing for the culture as we continue to develop the Hbcu Rugby Classic. And we want to continue to support these things because it only grows the sport overall. We are continually growing to be able to make sure that we're connecting with you on a personal level as well as a rugby level. And for you guys that are listening to the podcast and listening to this show, want to let you know that you are going to get 20% off all gear that is under the category of GiftTime Rugby Network and the Hbcu Rugby Classic. That is basically the entire store. And all you need to use is promo code GREAUX Rugby, GREAUX Rugby. And with that, you guys will get 20% off any clothing that is in the store as of right now. And of course, we're always building up more and more each time, but we want to make sure that you are able to symbolize your rugby faithfulness to the rest of the world and let them know that there is an opportunity to be able to develop, to grow, and to get better each and every time in this sport. So guys, I hope you guys check it out. Definitely go, and you guys can go to www.rugbyoutletmall.com. That is rugbyoutletmall.com. Guys, you're not going to want to miss one bit of this. Now let's get back to it.
I've always had this issue, and thankfully I feel like this post-pandemic era will end up seeing a lot of the changes. But it was always one very interesting thing to me that when you realize that despite the fact that rugby exists in basically every country in the world, every sovereign nation in the world, it ranks under the top 3 in almost all but maybe like 3, 4, 5 countries. We're talking New Zealand, the South Pacific, and that might just be about it, you know. So to continue to try and figure out how do you tap into getting it into younger people, and really make it part of the culture, not even just younger people, but making it part of culture, is its own obstacle and mission in and of itself.
But there is another thing that is really different from United States and England, British system, and Italy.
Right.
And this is the real issue of our nation. In Italy, you don't have rugby at school.
Right.
You don't have like your college that are really always reading videos about. We don't have sport. We've got 2 hours of sports per week in general. So you can just do many different sports, but for 2 hours a week, what you can learn, no, or how you can practice. So all our sport life is in the afternoon, and the family have to bring you there. So this is a big deal, because compared to other countries where sport is one of the main moments, yes, it's normal for you. You don't know that in our culture, unluckily, sport is it's inexistent at school. Yeah. So, or you've got enough money to pay a club and do a sport for your kids, or also the family who doesn't have a lot of money could not make any sport for the kids. So, and also for the level of our sport, when you say, Italian rugby, you have to have someone that bring you to the club that think that rugby is the right, and also the first choice. Speaking clear, the first choice doesn't play rugby. Or if you live in Veneto, close to Treviso, where there is Benetton, close to Padova, there is an area where rugby is more famous more than soccer. But it's one region on 21.
Wow.
So the first choice, athletically speaking, of that region go to rugby. All the rest, you have to have an uncle or a grandparents or someone who have played for chance.
Wow. So do you feel like that's, because obviously that just means you limit your talent pool, like just immediately off bat. It's impossible, very difficult. Do you foresee that rugby in Italy will, or at least the culture will, make more movement so that there is actual organic time for sports as opposed to that? Because if you don't even have that organic time and all you can do is just pay into it, it seems like it's just a slow, steady, reduction of what the impact can be. Because at some point, someone's going to be like, well, this just isn't valuable for me to even be a part of, even if I could afford it, because we're not seeing we're not seeing an outcome that's worth it.
Yes, but also it's just a problem of system. Mm-hmm. Because, for example, we are, who follow the international politics, we are always in a mess. But for just to give you a sign, there is minister for the economic side, for the wealth, in this moment, we don't have a minister for the sport. Just to tell you how it's not part of the structure
at all.
And we've got a person who are the reference for sport, but we don't have a minister. And that's, like
that's the getting to the table just by itself. Like, there's one thing to get to the regional table, but if you're not even in the building, let alone trying to get into the room, you know, how can we make any significant movement? That's the structure? Okay. Let me ask this, and if it seems impersonal, you don't have to answer it, but I do want to ask: with what happens with Italian rugby when it comes to Six Nations and development like that, is this a lot of the issues as to why it seems like Italy seems to falter when it comes to playing at that level? It seems to be slippery because you're just not, the system hasn't been accommodating to development.
This is the base of the issue. So you have really work on it, because obviously England, Wales, Scotland, children play rugby at school. Right. It's the normal sport that they play every week during the school time, and we have to have people who choose to bring the children. So our path is really longer, and moreover, we are perhaps not having the right, when you do experiment, you say, I think that the academia are the perfect way to build the players. We are seeing that no result about it. So we have to change the way in which we have to build our players. So perhaps changing the structure. And we are thinking how to experiment to a new way, because it's not because you take the super coach from Mars.
Right.
Is the material that the super coach has available who make the difference. And I'm not speaking, I've got all my respect for the players who go into the pitch and just face a country who prepare, or where is the choice. When they say the number of the caps of our team compared to the other teams, we are perhaps 100 caps less. And so you have to also think the fact that when you enter, if you are selected for playing the national team, your history behind your shoulder is your experience in staying at a high level. So obviously, if you don't have a championship that is a high level, your capacity to play in international level, it's less, because you are not trained to stay at that level.
Right.
So if our championship is at a lower level, also if you are the best of this championship, you face someone who on another planet. So this is the matter. For this, a lot of our players, the most famous, went to play in France, went to play in the Wasps, went to play in England. Yes, so they train at the high level and they can enter in the pitch knowing and being fit.
Right.
Also mentally,
Right.
Because,
again, it's a full development of the player itself. So, but with that being known, and especially with even yourself being on the rugby board, what is the Italian Rugby Union, if the Italian Federal Rugby Union, doing to be able to get inside that room so that you can enact those systems? Because it seems like if it's known, and we always know it's easier said than done. So, I know there's always a task, but what is it that you guys would need to do to get your Minister of Rugby to exist in the first place? So now people recognize it at a high level and you can at least compete with soccer and basketball in those elements. And then subsequently, what is it that you guys need to do from that point on to make sure that you guys are providing access to kids who would not otherwise have that access?
Well, I can say that what I'm going to try to do. So I'm really strongly try. My idea is to change the focus. I mean, when we compete every day. Let's say if we need to enter in the school. So these 2 hours a week for you have to do rugby. Right. I could not pretend that they accept us, because in reality there is big stereotypes toward us that we are a violent sport, so you get hurt, and for a professor or a teacher, if your kids get hurt, it's a big deal.
Right.
So if someone hurts, you could not enter anymore in the school. Right. Because it's a problem for the teacher for the parents.
Right.
So we really suffer about these stereotypes. Right. So just to overcome these things, first of all, I really go often in the school for this. This is my area that I like, because I I build a project that is called When I'm Worthy, You Are Worth It.
Yes.
And it's a way in which I can present rugby differently from only being a sport. I present rugby as a tool for the school for building positive relations.
Right.
Because, and this is to work against bullying. In this project, I put art and rugby together to work on self-esteem. And I say, what is fit rugby and art? Nothing. And this is the matter. It's a competition for the kids. So the class just play, it's sharing two different teams inside the class. And these two different teams, obviously with the teacher, we just choose who are in one team and another one. So the people who got, the kids who's got problem between them, they stay in the same team. Okay. Not separate.
So basically trying to create a unifying, like, hey, look, if you're looking at a problem, let's see if we can work together, because you have to. Like, it's either
sure. But working on a two different competition. One is rugby tag rugby, so you don't have impact, and the other is art. So they have to create an installation. You know, when you use different materials. To make them understand that being different is so important. Right. Because in one side, obviously, there is the one who are really fit or they are good in sport will be the one who take the chariots and just guide the group. Right. But and you've got a score, sorry, for both the two tries. But so when they are in the creative side, the one who are always running, they could not stay calm, no? And this is me, because I'm not able to play even card, because after 3 minutes...
It's like, I just need to go do something. It's
yes. So when you need to be careful in drawing and painting and writing a poems or writing a song, a person who's got different characteristics than me are better than me. So he's the strongest in this moment and take the teams and guide and lead the teams. So this is the perception that everybody have to have, that being different is the strength of the team. So there is a good socialization, because the different is not something that you have to condemn or be worried about. You have to be happy, because being different, the score is higher in a thing that you are not able to do.
You know, it's interesting, because it almost kind of goes counter to what people kind of would assume for rugby culture. And I was trying to be able to make sure I had it. And I remember when I was talking with Katie Sadlier some time ago, she was talking about the combination of rugby and art. We didn't actually get a chance to go into it, but this sounds like where I was trying to go. But to the point that I was trying to make, it sounds like you're taking the element that whenever we talk about rugby, and rugby is always about everybody's the same. It's the team first and everything goes. And I think, and it's always been imprinted so that if you stand out in individuality, it can be seen as a distraction of the team and you're stepping out from that. But I like the fact that you're actually going the opposite direction, which I'm much more of a believer in, and which is why I said earlier, I think post-pandemic rugby will now change from it being a structure everything into what rugby is, and instead make rugby into what everything else is. So basically look through the lens of a culture or an individual or a personality, and you will put that through what rugby is, so that the person still comes through and it fits within rugby still comes through, but it fits within the personality. And so now you get to see variation, and you get to see a much more flexible movement of how rugby works within the team, as well as within the whole union, within the global element of it, because you're recognizing the individual cultures as opposed to trying to box everybody in. So
So this is a way to present us not as a culture, not only limbs.
Yeah,
it's correct, limbs.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, and this is the real matter, because our school needs method. And so if I present rugby under another point of view, they don't put us in comparison with other sports. So this month we do 4 hours of volleyball, 4 hour basketball, or 4 hour rugby. No, we use rugby as a tool of way of good relation, to build good relation, because obviously it's a game. I just invented a game. It's just a way of building relation. I'm one of my claim is that playing you thinking with your hand.
Right.
So in the meantime that you just not compete, so you play, and so it's something enjoyable. No, it's not we are all equal. We have to be able to give our talent available to everybody. No, it's just seeing on the reality, playing that you are useful to the group, and someone else that is different is useful to the group, and so you don't have to worry to be not the best. I'm the best in this, but I'm the worst in something else.
Right. So how do we make this all fit within the puzzle? And we're getting learn how to.
Yes, but also in a team, if everybody is told 2 meters, who play number 9? No.
Right.
Rugby is really a combination of different body, different mindset. There is someone that doesn't pass the ball, even if you shoot him or shoot him. No. No. And there is someone else who is always passing the ball or always kicking because he's frightened to the impact. So all the combination and the harmonization of our mental attitude and physical attitude and body. Why you don't throw the lightest and the smallest in the scrum or to go against the other team, because it's not useful for the team.
Right.
And if you've got a superstar who ran the 100 meters in 5 seconds but is not able to relate with his teammate, the teammate will pass him the ball or her the ball because there is not, and the other one stop playing because he doesn't feel comfortable.
Yeah, no, I and that completely makes sense. And I think, again, it goes back to the importance of why I've always believed that the culture of rugby, not so much like what we structure the culture, but like the culture of community of rugby is probably the most valuable component of the sport and the one that needs to be marketed the heaviest versus the overt, and whether you can say the brutality of the game or the chess of the game or whatever, because I think ironically, the way that it forces people to have to fit together, fit the balances together, find their equilibrium, to say the least, is a little bit more of the attractive quality than what then happened on the pitch, because then after that, the outcome of that balance is this amazing, beautiful play that exists as a result of that. So for you, whenever you guys are presenting that, like what, I guess I have to ask, like what has been stopping the board from being able to work those programs, or is it just because it's now coming to fruition, or?
But this was an experiment that I was going to do. I was looking for money because obviously I could not make kids pay for this project. So I was looking for sponsorship, and I really had the Minister of the Defense that said, okay, I just put my sign on it because I think that is valuable, and many other that, the experiment should be on 12,000. Yes, 12,000 kids.
Okay. Oh wow.
1,2,0,0, yes. 12,000. So it was super big experiment, but COVID.
It catches us all. But you know what? So okay. So at this point, it's just we're now trying to get the experiment restarted again.
From that moment we start. For me, it was like 2 years of work. 2 years of work, knocking at all the door. I've got a wonderful project for our kids and so on.
I can understand. And
now in reality, I'm experimenting it personally because the other side of my life, I'm a contemporary artist. I work electrical cables.
Oh, nice.
And I create a conceptual jewelry inspired by the women who changed the world. So and I work only electrical cables. So I've got the artistic side, and so I'm working in a school. So one school, 100 kids, not 2,000. But number 0. I'm experimenting number 0 because I can just do obviously the rugby side. It was okay, but the artistic side that in the Big Mother project is totally worked by the teacher. Because they can choose, they were 4 sectors in between. You can choose, you can do the artistic side in videos, dance, poetry, and painting. So the school could choose one of these different way of expressing art, and so the kids, depending on the teacher, they work on this, not from outside. And that was a thing that. I was structured the things thinking that the club of the area will adopt the school. So it was a way in which the team can enter in the school.
Right.
In the budget was also the money to pay the club to send the teacher, the coaches. So on one side I will pay the club for the work at the school. On the other side, I permit them to have an entrance in the school without competing on others, and so I build I give the possibility to build the relation between school and club. That for us is fundamental.
Right, and I think it feels and it makes it a lot more organic, because I know, like you had said, the hardest part is sometimes convincing people of the value that they need to have for it, and if you can't do that, it's everything else just feels like you're banging and just begging, and it doesn't connect.
Yeah. And so, and it also the fact that tag rugby really make them less anxious about the contact, and also the fact of making play girls and boys together. And this is another thing that we have to pass through. Also, if I really think that it's important that kids grow playing together for one fact. I'm really, really convinced about it. Okay. That we just help the society in building equality. Because if I grow with a teammate, Francesca, normally until 12 years old, our girls are super strong. Right. They beat even the male because they are, it's normal, it's nature. Right. We just have a rush before and then you follow and you just overcome us. It's just the way in which we develop.
Yeah. Just maturing faster. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So they are, if we make play boys and girls together, they grow up together, sharing laugh, victory, problems, mud, rain, sun, and they are used to think that they are equal. So how a man of the future could think to even touch a woman or think that she's less valuable if you are raised up with a girl who are super strong, who do all the tries, who are your teammate. So we are building the sane way of growing our children, right? And the adults of the future. I'm strongly convinced about it.
Hey everybody, this is just the Break Train sending out a personal little video diary to all you people out there, where I am going to document me riding most of the way between Singapore and Tokyo for the 2019 Rugby World Cup. Number one is because as part of my business I do Rugby Lovers Guide to Asia. Number two is I want to bring a lot of exposure to the rugby clubs and the rugby NGOs and charities. Also on a personal level, I just want to break the funk I've kind of felt I've been into for the last 10 years.
So for the next 12 months, I poured myself into the Singapore to Tokyo campaign, but it still wasn't enough. I needed help, and it came from Louisiana.
We in Singapore, baby!
Gift from GiftTime Rugby USA is a extroverted tour de force.
Say hi to my people out there.
Which makes up for my social shortcomings.
This place is unbelievable. No! It's not just it's like
what's he supposed to do?
Morons, a bunch of morons.
Guys, picture with me. Picture. Australian. G'day, mate. You can use my phone. But what unites us is a hunger for adventure.
Off to KL, Kuala Lumpur.
Gift, where are we?
We're in
Mount Fuji, baby!
Our love of Asian rugby culture.
1, 2, 3, center!
Rugby is starting to develop here in Cambodia for women as well.
Valkyries, the mighty Valkyries!
And allows us to overcome incredible obstacles.
It's just got so thick. It's just so thick here. Now it's pouring down rain again.
But coming to this Thai-Cambodia border has renewed all the aggression.
So the whole thing's gone buggered. I got hit.
What?
I got Thailanded by a motorbike. I can just feel that knee, that ankle just going in all the wrong directions under the weight of my body. But that doesn't compare to the pain of failure.
I'm dying. Oh, I'm dying.
And that's what I've been worried about this whole time. We're out here, we're running out of energy, we're running out of money, and we're feeling isolated. And yet at that critical moment, friends, family, sometimes complete strangers come on board. Before you know it, we're back in the game. Tokyo, here we come!
Making a comeback. 4 weeks, 2,300 miles, 5 countries.
After all the trials and tribulations, this ride had become deeply personal. All that mattered now was getting to that Rugby World Cup game in Tokyo.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Be easy.
Go check out redearthfilms.vhx.tv to get your copy of Singapore to Tokyo any way we can. That's redearthfilms.vhx.tv.
And I think that makes sense. And I think a lot of that also goes back to what the culture of the area is going to be telling you. Because I think nowadays, especially with the internet and stuff, there's so much information. So it's not as if, you know, whether good or bad, that the kids do not have access to know about the aspects of bullying and these things, but it's the understanding. And I think for what you're saying is this helps with the understanding than it is just the knowledge of.
Yes, is living it.
Yeah.
In reality, is facing the same problem together and being used to live shoulder to shoulder.
Right. No, and I think this one will kind of works into this last question this last set of questions that I have, and can get, you know, and I'll wrap it up. But, you know, obviously World Rugby announced this new women's rugby schedule. And when it comes down to the aspect of equitability, where it seems like they're kind of pressing more and more forward, a lot has seemed to push towards that. You know, for you, especially with this experiment that you want to do, and obviously with what you're envisioning, you can see can happen with rugby. What do you feel like this new schedule, more opportunity for women to play, aka more opportunity for women to be seen, and subsequently for both boys and girls being able to see them play? How do you feel like this can impact what you're hoping to be able to develop in terms of your system?
I yes, sorry, but I didn't put the cable. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Hey, look, you know, art wants to express itself in any way shape possible. All right. Sometimes it just needs to get away from itself and just like let me.
Everything's funny. Well, I think that the real point is, how can I begin? Soccer. We have a big light on the female side, right? And we got Juventus. I don't know if you know the big name of the Italian soccer, Juventus, Milan. They are super rich,
right?
And they began with the female soccer not because they are good heart or think to equality, because they don't have, they just attract half of the market.
Yeah.
So until you don't create a market for the female, we are speaking about merchandising, licensing, we are really putting the feet on the ground, right? So they create the female movement, they supported the female team in soccer to earn more money. Okay, so I think that in reality it doesn't matter why. For me, if they help the female side raising and just emerging from the sea, okay, you've got your interest. I'm more happy that girls can play because you are supported them, also for your finality. And it's a sort of exploitation in a certain kind, because we are speaking, but money moves the world. We could not do nothing against it. We just take the good side and try to develop the system.
And that's why I was wondering, like, how do you feel like it can actually help impact the system and impact your intent to improve the system in a positive way, or do you think it's something that can be a drawback?
Now, I think that now the female soccer is in Italy are growing really fast, and they are quite strong in their right. So my opinion is that we need to find a sponsor for the female side.
Right.
In every nation, because for example in Italy we don't have sponsor for the female side. We just have the same sponsor of the men that we are inside of the contract, male and women, but we don't have visibility, and it's just a cat who just beat her the tail. I don't know if it's in English.
A cat and mouse game, just basically you're just going around in circles over
exactly. So until we don't have visibility, we could not be interesting for big for a big sponsor. And I wrote a project 4 years ago that it was called Six Nations for Women, just to attract sponsor interested to the social responsibility, because my idea was that every country could be the witness of an issue of the women world. For example, I'm the ambassador of the Ovarian Cancer Association, and it's the ethical sponsor of the Azzurre, the female national team, and how this sponsor pay in information, not in money. So we organize tour in every club of who have got a female team, just speaking about prevention for the ovarian cancer. So, and in this moment, the club could be invited all the female community of the town, so we can be connectors of good information for normal life, because we've got a life outside of the pitch. So my idea was that each nation could be witness of an issue, a female issue. We for the wealth, someone else for the glass ceiling, I don't know, England for the glass ceiling, France for the violence. So everybody took a teams, and so we can just play being the first ethical championship in the world, having a logo that reminds us that we take care about the women inside and outside of the pitch.
Right.
And so every time that you go playing in another country, this country organize a congress about the theme that the team guests are witness for.
Right.
And so this could be interesting for someone who are speaking about social responsibility. And so this is a way that make difference from men, because we can experiment better because we are smaller.
Right.
So less money goes around us and we can do more experiment, but let's experiment.
But yeah, take advantage of it and just be able to see where you can go, because then when the time comes for the big pot to create, now you already have, you know exactly what your audience is looking for, you know exactly what you want to promote and present, and you want to make sure that you're able to show that in totality. And obviously the money can come along with that overall.
Yeah, so you have to build before your audience, and then knowing how attract. So we just have to work so many things. But until we don't have our sponsor, there won't be enough money to grow a big event. I'm really sorry for the World Cup of the New Zealand that they could not do it, but it was a luck for us.
Yeah.
I'm speaking about the Italian side. We are inside our houses from more than 1 year.
Yeah.
How we can compete with a New Zealander that doesn't have any virus and they play every day?
Right.
They kill us. No, but
it's true.
I'm not speaking only about this, but the most important things is in that moment they were working really well about advertising, about visibility, and we could show a bad level of rugby because of our problem of health.
Right.
So if you are not trained and we lose 70-0, because obviously you've got the possibility to train always, and we in our houses doing weight because we could not go out from our doors. What is the level that we could show to the advertise, to the television?
And now it become the negative backlash because
yes, so they are not at the level. They are not playing a good rugby. We are able to play a good rugby because we arrived second in the Six Nations. We didn't arrive sixth, but obviously there is something higher. This virus, we have to think that is not good. I'm saying I've got one of my best friends. She's a biologist, and she said to me, Erika, this virus is not good, even bad. It's a virus. He doesn't have a thinking brain who say, ha. No. He doesn't. He touch black, white, blue, yellow, no colors, not rich, poor. No, he doesn't make any difference. Right. We just have to understand what of good make us develop.
True. It just is, and and that's really true, and it's an aspect I didn't even think about. And don't get me wrong, like for me, it sucked a little bit because I was really excited to be able to go because I finally got media passes, or it was set up to get media passes for it. But it makes sense, and in terms of what is the macro effect of all these actions that occur. So moving it over, and we'll see what even happens with the Olympics for this year, but the macro effects of poor play or great play or surprise play, because we saw an impact from 2017. We know there's something there, and it continues to grow at a high rate. But and what it does for every other part of the sport in the country, whether yours or anybody else's, it has a direct effect because these are visibility aspects that kick in. So yeah, you want to be able to be in a position where you can at least, where everybody has an opportunity to present their best, even despite this.
Yes, because being fit, everybody trained and ready for the competition, our level of rugby would be higher, and the matches more interesting, and the visibility, they would put the focus on a good level of rugby, not a different level because of the pandemic side, not because we didn't train.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. Erika, I gotta say, I'm legitimately here. I'm just like, I'm learning so much. There's so much. There's so much to still know. But I want to know, where can people, I guess, maybe find out more information, or even better yet, be able to help support what it is that what it is that you guys are trying to do in Italy, whether from the outside or inside. But really to the most, what we can continue to do to make sure that we're pushing everything forward the way it needs to be.
But I'm the good side of this virus, because I try to mentalize on it, because if I have to think all my project destroyed,
you'll lose your mind in that. Yes.
It's the fact also that there were more communication on internet.
Yes.
And for this, I was really lucky, and I met Carrie Hefferman, of the US Women Rugby Foundation. And so we are just writing one each other, thinking what we can do together. And thank you to Fabio Pirola, that is a coach that know her when he went to the United States. So we are building already relation to try to put our best in common. And I really hope that we can, because you are more forward than us on the female sector about association, because you've got this big association who's got all the referees and the players, but it's not women, it's who work for the women. Because for the same thing that I've said at the beginning, it's not because you are a woman that have to train a women team, or you're a man. No, we are different, so we have a different mind, a different way of behavior, or also understanding information. Because as usual, there is also a book, no? Man comes from Mars and women from Venus.
Yeah.
But it's true. But the thing that is important, it's always not worse, not better, different.
Exactly.
So from these things, we are looking to you as you are working, and you worked already in all these years. Because in reality, I discovered that your women begin before us. So on one side, we are more developed on one side, but you are more forward in how you are put together association, and your numbers are higher than ours. So, but we are differently culturally. And so this is the most important things, because just exchanging information and thinking, oh, how you did this, but why your 7 is so developed.
Right.
Because our 7 rugby, we are kilometers distance, not even planet, cosmos, because we don't have enough girls. So for this, I'm so strongly working on the base, because until I don't enlarge the number of players, how I can do a good selection and select for the 15 and for the 7.
Right.
We have to concentrate on one thing's done well.
No, I agree. And look, it goes back again. Once you understand how to be able to create the system and be able to set it up in a way that it becomes self-generating, that it is able to provide the level needed. And I think even here in the US, we're still working on as much as can say that it might be ahead of Italy, but we're even still trying to figure out our own system itself, from utilizing the schools to be able to have people enter in at a rate that they don't have to pay, or they don't have to pay as much. So then when they do scale up, you're able to, now filter more in the best. And I think within women's side, it's been a lot easier because there's less contact sports, like just less sports. So we get more of the best women available. And I think you see the increasing level of production and play that goes along with it, which only lets you know how far this ceiling can be from the women's side, both locally and globally. But it always comes back to setting up that system. And like you said, if you're being innovative in this day and age where there's so much information out there, we have to be innovative. There's no longer that, we just do what we've always done. And, if somebody comes, then they come, and hopefully they ask somebody else. It's like, no, we have to come and bring them in. We have to make sure that we are cultivating them into it, make sure that they're feeling the community of it. And then after that, making sure we continue to develop and train them as they choose to want to go. So make that choice easier for them.
Yeah. It's just to present the new things, just changing a bit the color, because our sport is inclusion.
Right.
It's naturally inclusive. So I'm not speaking about saying things that are new. Just discover the hot water. It's just a different storytelling.
Yep.
Because at the end is how you tell things. This is the matter. The shape are contents.
Agreed.
And so we have to understand how to just tell what we do every day in our club, because we fight against bullying always.
Right.
Because obviously our kids come from many different kinds of family. any different kinds of culture and education, because there is something lucky and someone less lucky,
right?
And could be super talented, but your family doesn't transmit you the good attitude toward the other one. So it's fantastic that when I would say that when we speak about the defense and the fastest, that you have to wait a bit, the slowest, just to be all together a big wall. Otherwise, if the fastest starts and the other, you just create a hole.
Yep.
So it's just a way to say, okay, I don't go on my path, no, pace. Pace. I don't go on my pace, because just slowing a bit, we can be together,
right?
And being more strong. There is a way of saying that, I don't know if I translate good. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I like that. That's dope. Basically, I like that. I love that so much. You're basically pulling everyone together and keeping everybody in the. I love that. You want to go fast, be alone if you want. I like that.
My translation is, I don't know, but I give the sense.
It translated perfectly. So, man, no worries. But Erika, thank you so much. I truly do appreciate the time. And like I said, I'm learning so much. Just know we're gonna have to do a part 2 of this. I just want you to know this will happen. We're gonna have to do a part 2 because I want to know, especially the progress that happens moving forward.
Okay. I'm available.
And I did want to ask, where is the place that people can at least follow what the progress can be, whether social media or
yeah, I just the Italian Federation has got a site who always quite working well. Well, otherwise, I can give you my email. They can write me. If they want to ask me information or whatever, because this is I'm not far. I'm far just in the net, but I can reach. No problem. For me, I feel honored to be useful, because obviously the energy doesn't go in one side. It always go in two sides. And so giving information, I receive information because I do like this, and you will answer me, I do like that. And also I be more informated on what's going on the world.
Agreed. Well, do you want to give them your email, or do you want to be like,
Yeah.
hey?
No. My email is erika.morri at gmail.com. So super easy. My name dot surname and I know dot. How do you say?
Dot. Yeah. Dot or point, but dot. Usually we go .com.
.com. So write me.
Absolutely. Erika Morri, thank you so much. Yo, I want to thank Erika. Thank you so much for coming on the show, telling your story. Truly appreciated it, and I can't wait to do it again. And guys, thank you again for listening. If you guys enjoyed this, definitely go and check out some of our other podcasts. We had last week Robert Perry of Greaux Rugby, a small island in the Caribbean, but he's doing big things out there. Prior to that, we had Nicolette Pantor, captain for the Trinidad and Tobago women's national team. We had Jess Nielsen of Canada Rugby. We had Keisha Ann Down. We had my guy Ryan Ginty of Next Level Rugby running Fox Sports 2 MLR TV show. We had Sarah Alice Saul, former USA manager. Even further back, we've had Tiara Mack, the congresswoman for, I'm sorry, not congresswoman, the state senator for Rhode Island. We had Anna Woosery of Black Girls Ruck. We had Koma Gandhi Fishbin of the USA Rugby Board of Directors. We had Dr. Amelia Luciano, a World Rugby International referee. We've had Kimani Davis of Roots Rugby in May. We'd had Freddie Henry Ajuda of Nigeria Rugby and Life University. Derek Lipskin of Old Blue. We had Farah Douglas of Mount St. Mary's. We've had Kyle and Tiana Granby, founders of Roots. We've had such an eclectic group of people. Chetta Emba, Charity Williams, Ram Eddings, like an eclectic group of people who have great stories, have great love for the sport of rugby, have been able to find and taken great advantage to be able to provide or prove or exemplify the opportunities that are created with rugby. So I hope you guys get a chance to listen through those, enjoy those ones through, listen to the deep stories, listen to my own rambles. But ultimately, it's just, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. So I hope that you guys know, I hope that you are happy. I hope that you guys are healthy. And I hope that you know that you are absolutely highly favored. I'm going to check you out next time. Cheers.